Hi, and welcome to another edition of In the Spotlight with Mayor Jeffrey Mims. And of course, I have another special guest with me, and you always know all my guests are special. All right, so Mr. Lamonte Hall Jr. I want to make sure I add that junior. I'm a junior myself, and we always take pride.
That's right.
And have a name after our fathers. So great. It's a good energy as well. Okay, so director of the HRC. What's the HRC, and what does the director do?
All right. So the HRC, we call it HRC for short, of course, but it's the Human Relations Council. It's been around since 1962. The Dayton City Commission put together the Human Relations Council to promote peace and goodwill amongst the community. Of course, over the years, the mission of the HRC has changed. Now we are here to create and ensure culture, fair treatment, inclusion, and equal access to opportunities for persons who live, work, play, and as the mayor would say, gather and grow old within the city of Dayton. We do three things mainly, if you wanted to just shorten it up. We do business and technical assistance, where we support small businesses, minority-owned businesses, women-owned business, and help them to align themselves so that they can receive government contracts. And when I say government contracts, so that they can procure with the city of Dayton specifically. We also do civil rights enforcement. And within our civil rights enforcement, the city of Dayton is our jurisdiction. We do that in the areas of public accommodation, fair credit transaction, equal employment opportunities, and the biggest one, probably about 95% of our investigation time goes to housing, so fair housing.
Okay. So I know we made a change, 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, in terms of working with Impact. We had that responsibility for maybe 25 years of working with 12 counties and throughout this state of Ohio. And looking at that, of the 88 counties, we had 12 of them. Trying to do a good job in that space was a bit of a challenge, if you will. As we talked among the commission, we did pass some legislation to change that process, to move to how we would work with one county. And that is primarily looking at Dayton and the work that we're doing in those spaces and helping support and drive minority, women-owned businesses, veterans businesses as well. The other part went to the Chamber of Commerce. How have we been able to function in with that change? Better, worse, the same?
I'm going to say probably a little bit better, in a sense of, and I speak from a sense of coming in after the change was already made for us to move MBAC to the Chamber of Commerce. But if you look at most MBACs, they are housed in a similar organization like the Chamber of Commerce and not specifically in the city itself, because it does, as you mentioned, you are not just servicing city of Dayton, you're servicing many different counties, and those persons are responsible for those different counties and those different entities and the things and challenges that they all may have, which are different. The way it's set up now, we work great with MBAC, though. We are regularly in contact with MBAC. Miss Belinda Stinson is amazing. Over at the Chamber, as well as Jelani Johnson, who is the director of MBAC right now. So we work hand in hand. Whenever I hire or bring somebody in over to the HRC, Jelani sits on the panel because he's a community member that works in this space. So our relationship is great. It allows us also to have a deeper connection with the Chamber because we do a lot of like and similar work. And so when there are challenges for them, that means there are challenges for us, and they pass the information along. We sit down and talk about it. It's likewise, it works the other way as well. When there are challenges for us, we're calling over there to see how they're dealing with those same challenges, what they're doing to to try to position themselves so that they can help the businesses or whatever those things that come to us. I think the relationship is amazing. I think the opportunities are amazing, and then also with the alignment too, they have funds that we don't specifically have over here. They have more than just the MBAC program over there. They also service technology companies. They also have grants. They also have some different opportunities for funding, which we didn't have here at the city, that also helps businesses. And so I think that's if it was to have to go somewhere, that's the place that it needed to be. Okay.
I know we had a lot of debate, a lot of discussions from individuals who felt that we were going to lose the juice, if you will, for lack of another word, because of the work in that space. I think additionally we had individuals who, I don't want to say back in the dark ages, but they had a frame of reference, if you will, of the Chamber of Commerce, some decades ago when they were not as amenable to helping support local minority, women-owned businesses, et cetera. And making more people aware that at the time that we were making the change, not only did we have a group that was committed to improving all the business growth in the region, their support helped us to become, a leader in the region in terms of job growth. Talk about how it feels to be in a situation like that when people look to Dayton, as they have been in the last 3, 4, 5 years, to see a city that has grown so much in terms of business growth and leading the region in that space.
Yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head. One of the biggest things when you think about small business support, I think it often gets lost in translation, is when you're talking about small business support and business support, you're really talking about workforce, job, and growth and development, because, at the end of the day, for us as a community, it's all about jobs. It's all about creating jobs that pay a living wage, that allow persons to be able to not only take care of themselves, but also to take care of their families, send their kids to school, be able to do the thing, have the quality of life that we all want. And so when you support small business, that's what you're supporting. You're supporting the opportunity for a small business to grow into a larger business that will then turn around and need more employees, be able to hire persons and have them working, and then those persons make good money, turn around, that business grows, and then they do it all over again, and that's the cycle. And so I think that when you see all of the work going on in the city of Dayton, you see this work we have downtown, you see the demolitions, you see the new police station going up. Those are all opportunities for persons to come into the city, the community to work, but persons from the community to be working in the community. Let me say that again. Persons from the community, opportunities for persons from the community to be working in the community, making a great living wage. And so that anytime that the commission approves a project, I think that people don't see these type of things that come out of that. You approve a large project, that large project in turn turns into jobs and opportunities for persons. It turns into taxpayer dollars coming back into the city. It turns into opportunities for mentorship, where we have large companies working with smaller companies to teach them the ropes and bring them up. And so when we look at some of the things that we're able to do in the community now, definitely led by our leadership over the past couple of years, the hundreds of millions of dollars that's been spent in Dayton, grants, sustainability, all these different things, they all translate into jobs, and that's what we need.
Yeah. Again, that underscores a lot of the reasons why Dayton continues to be the region leader in terms of job growth. And that's a great badge for us to wear. And I appreciate you wearing that badge in terms of making those things happen as far as the city of Dayton is concerned. One of the issues that people have heard me talk about a lot, the big project that we did with the ARPA funds, probably the number one project that all the citizens wanted to have, and that I want you to tear down as many of these doggone vacant nuisance properties as you can. And so while we made the decision, again, based upon the community's request of tearing down 1,100 vacant nuisance properties, I talk a lot about the benefits of tearing down just a home. And I say we got 5 jobs. Every house we tear down, that's 5 jobs, okay? And we sort of go through and talk about some of those. So talk about some of those type of jobs that we have that are created because of that process.
Absolutely. With you saying that, I want to take it before I talk about the jobs. Let's talk about it from a business standpoint. This and something that the city's done, and I'm really proud about working with Planning Neighborhoods and Development, and their project team that's over the demolition. Something that they did, the HRC work with them is really cool. Is for our small businesses. Tearing down, we were bidding out in packages of 200 homes, 300 homes. And for our small businesses, they may not have the bonding capacity to tear down 200 or 300 homes. So they could never be able to do that. What we did was we worked with them and said, hey, can we have packages of 25, packages of 50? And so they did that. And now we have small businesses that are able to bid on these packages because they're broken up into smaller packages. So that's just one example of in a way that the city has helped small businesses when it comes to the ARPA demolitions. The other thing that you mentioned, the type of jobs you have, these are to do a demolition. Some of them are asbestos. So you got specialty, you got hauling, you got dumping, you have a backhoe out there that's knocking the houses down and then picking them up and putting them on the trucks. You have seeding and sod that have to go in afterwards.
Shovel ready work.
It's shovel ready work, and so there are multiple opportunities.
So I may be cutting us short by saying 5.
Yeah, you might be cutting us short by saying 5, but it might just be 5 dump truck drivers alone on certain demolitions just to get them to where they need to go. So yeah, we could say 5. We could say more than 5 persons for sure.
Okay, and that's great, man. That really is. One of the things, again, going back to talking about the relationship with the chamber. Some individuals thought that the chamber was an organization that was all Caucasian, all white, anti-minority, anti-women. And one of the things that they were made aware of in some of this debate, at the time we had a African-American female who was president of the chamber executive board. And they looked at me like, like I had 3 eyes, 3 eyes, okay? 3 eyes and a horn in the middle of my head and maybe even a tail. And like, oh, are you sure? No, I'm sure. I see her all the time, different meetings and different events throughout this whole city. And as we do some of the kind of things we do as far as the city is concerned, always there's this caution, which is justifiable because of a lot of things that we've experienced over the past of these color barriers, these color issues, these concerns about black, white, because we have been victim to so many elements of unfairness, if you will, in terms of how this whole structure works so often. And looking at situations that people talk about, if there's something that's going wrong, that the people who are on the shortest end of the stick all the time in terms of whether it be resource and or opportunity or fair treatment. Again, essence, why your department is here in the city of Dayton, it seems to be, again, the people of color who are getting the short end of the stick. When we talk about the phrase that so many people use that ain't nothing happening in West Dayton, ain't nothing happening on my side of town, that has been quieted a lot, if you will, when we show a lot of the things, evidence about the work that your department has done, the work that you've done, and the work and the passion that the city manager as well as commissioners have taken to move things along, to have more of an equitable base of support for communities that have been purposely disenfranchised. Talk about the joy, if you will, that you feel sometimes in being able to do something for those who have been disenfranchised the most.
Absolutely. I think when you say the joy, that's what wakes me up. When you do work that's tough, sometimes it can be very challenging, especially when we talk about civil rights enforcement or we talk about trying to help small businesses out. And actually, before I got in the department, I knew some of the challenges, but it was at a high level type overview. But to actually be in the weeds and understand the challenges that businesses have, that access to capital, these things are real.
Right.
Access to capital, trying to, you have a $100,000 business trying to bid against $1 million business where I'm the sole owner of this business and I'm the one out doing the work, but I'm also trying to put the bid together, pay my people, go pick up the materials. And then you got a business over here where one person focuses on bidding. And that's it. They can sit there and focus on it. You have another person that just out on the project all day. And these are the challenges that we have and that we see. And people don't think that that's real, and it is real. And when you go to a bank and, just because you look different than somebody else, you get a higher interest rate. People don't think that it happened, but it happens, and it's real. And it does disproportionately or disparately impacts African Americans, and disparately impacts women, disparately impacts Latinos, and so it's important that there are people out there who are looking at these type of things and who are fighting to try to ensure that that things are fair, that people have a fair shot and a fair opportunity. So when I wake up in the morning, I know that I come in, I know that no one person is going to do everything. No one organization is going to do everything. We have to work together and partner. But when I come to a space and I talk to somebody like you, Mayor, and you saying, these are the challenges we got to take care of, and this is what we should do. Or I talk to Belinda Stinson, who has been in this community over at MBAC, and Jelani, and they're trying to do their part. And then I talk to somebody in Cincinnati and Columbus, and they're working in organizations that are alike, and they're trying to do things. It does matter, and it makes a difference. And so to be able to, at the end of the day, help that one person, if it was just one small thing, give you an example, just share a resource or tell somebody about a grant they didn't know, or walk in a room with somebody and represent them against somebody that's doing something wrong to them, and you help that person out. And you made that difference. That's what keeps me going. That's what drives me. And then you got to think about it too from this standpoint. I'm born and raised right here in Dayton.
Well, take care of it. Huh?
That's right.
Gonna take care of your city.
That's right. My city, the people that I'm working for, that I'm helping, not just neighbors, but family and friends as well. And so that's important to me.
Mm-hmm. So I know there was a situation I know I dealt with some time ago, dealing with a minority contractor that had gotten so big because of his success in working those spaces.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. That no longer qualifies to be a minority contractor, and therefore was without some of the protections that normally come with that status. How do you work through challenges like that? And of course, we can see the situation on both sides, see it from both ends. Talk about that for a bit.
So that is the goal of the programs. A goal of any program, good program, is for somebody to graduate out of the program.
Right.
That is what we want. We want when a person enters the program and they've done enough business, they've grown enough, they've learned enough, in terms for us, made enough revenue now that they graduate from the program. If we're talking about construction, you're talking about $33 million over a 3-year period of growing out of the program. Those challenges can be scary and hard, and I've had this conversation with several companies, and one being is because they heavily depended on the program to help them with their success. So feeling like the program is no longer going to be there for them, that's a scary thing. But when you remind somebody of what they've accomplished and where they are, and now that they can turn around and help other businesses just like they were able to, that changes the mindset and the thought process. And then to see them bid on projects as a prime as opposed to a sub. And now they're hiring subs to help them on this large project. That's huge. Yeah. And so graduating out of a program, when we think about it, graduating from anywhere is a scary thing. You graduate high school and we got the challenge of college coming. Or you graduate college, you got this challenge of going out into the real world. You graduate from a military program, you done your 4 years and you're coming out, or you retired. What am I going to do now? So it's that same scary feeling that everybody has when they are coming into a new space, but those companies tend to fare very well and still do business.
Yeah. It's interesting that you would mention those transitional programs, because I know going back some time, getting out of the service myself, they began to put things in place to help in terms of transition. A lot of jobs, even people who retire, sometimes there are things that are put in place to help them with that transition. Because you are correct. It's like taking that step and you're not sure how deep that step is.
That's right.
We're going to be in terms of where you're going to land that next foot. And I remember that from when I had that knee pain. Stepped off this doggone bus. The step was a lot deeper than I thought. But had some of the worst pain I ever had in my life. But anyway, that's gone now. But thinking about those type of situations, and you mentioned something that some people may or may not be familiar with when you start talking about prime versus subprime.
Okay.
So explain what those terms are, and some of the kinds of things that you've done to help a subprime contractor elevate or graduate, if you will, to a prime contractor?
Absolutely. So when we talk about primes and subs, primes, you really want to think of it as a larger and smaller business. Your primes are typically your large companies. And so just to give you an example, to try to give you a quick example, if we're doing, let's just say the city of Dayton wants to repave Gettysburg Avenue. I'm just making this up for purposes of trying to explain, give persons a good explanation. We want to repave Gettysburg Avenue. We know we're going to call it a $10 million project. These numbers are fictitious just for purposes. And a small company, a small asphalt company, let's say, so to speak, may not have the capacity to do a $10 million job.
Right.
Now, a large company, asphalt company, can do the entire $10 million job. They have no problems with that. In order for us, we create an opportunity at the city for large companies and small companies to work together. And that's what we call goals. Because we know that we have small companies that can do some of this work. They can't do it all, but they can do some. We're able to set a goal on a project. And let's just say if we set a 10% goal, out of that $10 million project, $1 million has to go to small companies.
Okay.
What that does is it says that when a large company, a prime, bids on that project, they have to show us how they're going to work with a small company and spend $1 million of that. So they'll still get 9. They'll still get plenty of money, but they're going to have to spend $1 million with a small company, and they're going to show us how they do that. So when you talk about primes and subs, typically a sub works under a prime. Sub comes in. The prime is the person who bids on the project. They include a sub in the scope of work, and the sub comes in and handles a portion of that work. And that's how the prime sub relationship works.
Yeah. Now, we too often still are getting comments from the Joe everyday or Jane everyday citizen who will be riding up and down the street or driving up down the street, and they, in their mind, don't see enough minorities or women involved in certain projects. What kind of words of ensuring words or comfort can you give to individuals like that who are seeing that? And what should they do if they see projects that are happening from that perspective that they don't believe have the right type of representation as far as our community is concerned, or as far as black dollars that could be gained to help our community?
Well, absolutely. I think the first thing they could do is they could always call over to the HRC and say, hey, there's a project going on, and we want to know, why we don't see any representation on this project. That's typically the calls that we get. We see a big project and there's no representation. And oftentimes what'll happen sometimes is it may be a private project. People see projects going on and oftentimes assume the city is responsible for it. Okay. And sometimes we're not. Now, if it's a city project, we can pull the project, we can look at it, and we can say, hey, yes, there are pieces of this project going on. And always, too, what you perceive or what you see with your eyes doesn't necessarily have to be true, because there's inside portions of projects too that persons could be working on. So there might be this company working on the outside facade, but on the inside you have a company, a small business in there, African Americans or Latinos or women in there, could be painting, could be putting up the drywall, could be doing the flooring, could be doing other and different parts of the project. So it's important to, one, ask about the project, know what the scope is, know who's doing that project, and then what if any goals are set on that project, and who's working on it. Yeah.
Now, I know by listening to you and also seeing some of the projects before we make a bid, not before we make a bid, but before we approve certain projects, we see those numbers in terms of including more and more local, more and more minorities, more and more women-owned businesses in those spaces. What type of growth have you seen in those spaces since you've been in this position? I know some, I know it's a lot, but I have, in terms of how we categorize that so the members of the community who are watching will understand and have a greater sense of comfort that we, through you, and others, in terms of making good things happen from that perspective.
Yeah, so some quick numbers. Let's just say in 2024, about, I think, a little over 14 million, and that's just through goal setting, went to small businesses, and that's huge. Prior to that, I think we were at 9, 2020, 12 and 9 for 2023 and 2022.
Okay.
So we see it going up. Now, a lot of that does have to do with the projects that the city puts out. If we don't put out as many projects, it may not be as much money going out the door for projects.
Okay.
So I wouldn't hold that the numbers, the year over year basis, just solely on
Apples to
apples, because
right.
it just depends. If we put out 10 projects this year as opposed to 20 last year, you might have a different number. But that is growth, and that's huge to. It's huge for people to be able to see that growth. So that's just in a number standpoint. We have more businesses coming in that are focused and that can do work with the city of Dayton. One of the things when I came in was took a look at the businesses that we have in our in our system. And what is the eligibility of those businesses to be able to do work with the city? Because that is the number one priority. We know that we put out a lot of procurement opportunities, and we want small businesses to have some of those opportunities. And so a lot of those companies weren't able to do business with the city of Dayton, although they're legitimate businesses. I'll just give you an example: a barbershop or maybe a hair salon or somebody with a different specialty, not necessarily going to do work for the city. So we focus really heavily on going after businesses that can do a lot of this work. We see a ton of demolition coming, water projects coming with PFAS. There's a lot of electrical engineering. And while I'm talking about that, if people are curious about what industries we need more people in, construction, it's things that are always going up and being built. Specialty skills, electrical, plumbing, HVAC are huge and a lot of opportunity.
Okay, that's good. Time has gone by so quickly. I know we both tried to talk a little faster so we can get as much information out as we could, but time has still caught up with us.
Yes.
I was going to ask you something real quick, but only if you can answer this in about 30 seconds.
Okay.
What can we do in terms of increasing the link between our schools and the preparation of either programs for young people while they're still in school, and or programs, apprenticeship programs that lead them to a journeyman's card, for example, which is a lifetime job for those who are moving out of school? Yep.
I think the number one thing that we can do to link is I believe the schools have to understand that trades are important. When I was in school, I graduated from Patterson. We had trades at Patterson. We got away from that to a point where it was all college, maybe military, but there are trades out there, many opportunities. So schools, we need to bring those trades back, and we also need to have opportunities for youth in the summertime to work in different spaces and try out some of these jobs and see if they like them.
Yep. Gotcha. And I appreciate our department for doing so much of that work in terms of programs that they have with all of our department heads with Dayton Public Schools and working to make those things happen. So again, time is up. I hate it because still some more things I'd like to share with the whole listening audience or watching, viewing audience, if you will. But great job. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
I expected that. Okay, so ain't no problem. Okay?
Thank you.
So again, thank you for watching In the Spotlight with Mayor Jeff Mims and my special guest, Mr. Lamonte Hall Jr., head of our HRC department. Have a great day.